Hi guys, welcome back to Lenette Looks, and if this is your first time, thank you for watching. Welcome. And if you haven't watched my first video, I suggest watch my first video and then come back to this one. So I am now I'm a little over page 100 of Crazy Rich Asians now. So that's what I've been reading, and I'm really liking it. One of the major details that they left out of the movie was how they met, the background story of how Nick and Rachel met, and I was really enjoying it. I was enjoying reading who introduced them, did they get introduced, how did they come to meet, and then 2 years later, now she's being invited to Singapore to this big wedding for his best friend's wedding. She met him through a friend of hers, through a colleague, and her friend that worked at the school too. So he's a history professor and Rachel is an economics professor. So they never crossed paths, but Rachel's friend crossed paths with him and actually met him, and after meeting him like 3 or 4 times, she's like, that's it, he is totally the ideal guy for my friend Rachel. And so when she goes to Rachel throughout the day, on their break, I guess, she tells her, listen, I met this guy and he's perfect for you, that's your soon-to-be husband. And Rachel is not having anything. She's like, no, I don't think so, I don't want to be set up and everything. And anyway, her friend convinces her to go out after work with them. I think her friend's name is Sylvia. Sylvia had already spoken to him and invited him out. So it was just a matter of her kind of, introducing the idea to Rachel, and then, having her agree to go out with them, because she already set the date. Like, she's like, oh, I already, oh, good, you agree to meet him, good. So after work, we're all gonna hang out because I already set it up. So I thought that was really funny. But Rachel was like against it. She was like, no, I really don't want to do, it was spur of the moment anyway, which I understand. So after work, they go out, and Sylvia leaves because she's married. She's like, I gotta get home to my husband and stuff, and she obviously wants them to get to know each other without her around. She leaves, and Rachel and Nick, that's their first date. So I thought that was really nice that her friend was the one who set them up, and it just so happened to be one of the best dates. Rachel loved it. They wound up staying at the cafe that they had met at, and then after that they went out to eat because they were there for coffee, and then they went out to eat, and then after that they went for a walk, and they just had a really nice time together. So I thought, wow, why didn't they put that in the movie? I would have loved to see this couple, the beginnings of their meeting, how they met and how they grew to love each other from that first date. So it was really nice because after that first date, they kept hanging out and they just happened to get along really well. So her friend Sylvia was right on the money with that, so you never know. So she was very happy that she actually went out and took the advice of her friend the opinion of her friend and decided to do that. And here we go, 2 years later, she's being invited to Singapore to go with him because he's gonna be the best man at his best friend's wedding. So she also kind of thinks like, maybe he's going to pop the question, like, he's inviting me to Singapore, like that's a pretty long trip, and I'm gonna meet his mom for the first time, his dad for the first time, most of his family for the first time. So it's a pretty big deal. They've never spoken about getting married at all, but she just thinks like, oh, maybe this is it, even though they've never really spoken about it. And so it's a pretty big deal. So I wish they would have added that to the movie, but the movie still ranks pretty high for me because even without the background story, I still love the movie. It was really nice. Guys, I also want to get into side note to reading fantasy. So if you have any recommendations for fantasy, like sci-fi, fantasy, romance type of books, I would love to see your recommendations. I do have some other books on my side table that I'm looking at reading. You know, I haven't picked what I'm going to read next, but I would love to have some recommendations on that. I am a little past page 100, and this book actually, let's see how many pages it is, I forget. 527. So not too bad. Not too bad. And there's it's actually a 3-book series, so there's 2 other books to this. So I might get those 2. I don't have them, but I might look into getting these 2. If I really enjoy this book, I'll look into getting the other 2 and read them as well. So another thing that I really liked about the author added a lot of Cantonese, Malayan, and Singapore slang or words in their language, and I really enjoyed reading them. And I've always wanted to learn another language. I speak Spanish somewhat. I can't say that I'm totally fluent in Spanish, but I do speak some Spanish and I understand it. But I've always wanted to learn Cantonese. It sounds really cool. I really like it. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this one right, but alamak, and it means, it's like an expression of like shock, alamak, you know, like, oh no. And he mentions that. And then another one is la, and I believe, if I can recall, correct me if I'm not correct on this, but la means it's like an annoyance, like la, like whatever, you know. I just loved, you know, learning those little words. I'm enjoying this, guys. One thing that I want to mention, a friend of mine surprised me, and she sent me a poetry book. And this is written by a friend of hers, and her name is Sprague. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And it's called Lyric Insights, and it's a poetry book. And she sent me this because I write poetry as well. And I can read one of the poems in here. Let's see, which one am I gonna read? Okay, it's called Spring. Okay, Spring. It looked to the sky, tells me the color's beautiful. It is spring, that is why. And what does the garden do? Flowers soft, pretty, grass pale and green. It all comes again like new. My dog smells the fog, the mist and atmosphere, the newness of light, the blooming in sight, the sweetness and joy of being well. Just to tell, it is special. It is the best time of year. Isn't that nice? That's so nice. And I will be reading this. This was a nice surprise. So thank you, Joan. That's one of my best friends. And this was really special. So I really appreciate her sending that to me. So guys, don't forget, if you can comment on some book recommendations, I would greatly appreciate it. And I hope you guys are reading as well. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this episode, and thanks for watching. And I can't wait to get to the end of this book because I'm really enjoying it. So guys, I will see you on the next one.